Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. My name is Martin Warwick. I'm reporting from Mobile World Congress here in the New Fira. I'm joined currently by Werner Schaefer, who is the VP of NFV, Network Functions Virtualization at HP. Werner, welcome. What's HP announcing here today?
Well, Martin, first of all, thanks for having me this morning.
Pleasure.
And we're very happy to be here with a renewed presence. And that's part of our announcement as well this morning. So what we announced is the OpenNFE Program. And that is HP's effort, answer, program to bring the benefits of NFV to the carriers, to the communication service providers. So we built that on the areas of our architecture, our partnerships in the industry that we have for many, many years. We announced the lab program there that we actually will use to help our partners. And when we mean partners, we also talk about the carriers and the equipment providers and the ISVs and technology partners to come together and bring the promises of NFVs to the carriers as fast as possible.
The talk about NFV and about SDN, but NFV in particular, is this whole notion of the ecosystem that's developing around it.
That's right.
Who's involved in that ecosystem today?
So we have a very long-standing relationship, especially with the equipment providers. So, Alcatel, Ericsson, NSN, smaller ones like Sonos or Affirmed.
Sure.
But we're also working with ISVs that are looking at bringing their applications to this industry. And quite frankly, there will be many, many more that we don't even have an idea about today that they exist. Because as this is all becoming software defined, you have all these developers that find an app that they want to bring into the carriers, and that's exactly what the ecosystem in the lab story is all about. That we will be the safe pair of hands, so to say, for the carriers to look at an application, have it tested, have it validated in the labs, and then take it to trial into their own environment. So that's why we believe this ecosystem and the partners that we have today and the future partners will be so important to actually drive this, because not one company has all the answers for NFV. This is a partnership effort of every player in this industry.
And the ecosystem isn't set in stone, it's expanding and will continue.
Absolutely, Martin. NFV is an evolution. NFV is not a product, it's not a solution, it's an evolution of the industry. And with that, everything that wants to play a role in there will have to evolve as it goes forward, right? We don't see, the beauty about NFV is so much that it is customer driven, right? The carriers want it, they understand they can't keep doing the things the way they used to do it.
Sure.
And they look at this as something that is going to help them compete better with the over-the-tops, right? That brings a kind of like an equality back into the game here. And that means it will evolve. We will see, first NFV deployments in the industry, and they say that works, that doesn't work, and then we will see how it over time will change. What are the other areas you can look at where
Sure.
NFV will play a role? We'll start at the edge somewhere, and eventually we'll evolve towards core applications that can be virtualized as well.
Given this new world that's developing and the ecosystem which is evolving, who do you at HP consider to be your primary competitors and competition? And how is OpenNFV differentiated in the market? Because it must be different in some ways to the other stuff.
Absolutely. I think the biggest differentiator that we see from our side is the openness of the program, right? So if you look at some of our competitors, they either have to define a legacy. They've been in the core network of the carriers for a long, long time. They have a lot of revenue and profit pools in that. So their story will be somewhat challenging to explain to a carrier. Well, I'll bring you to this brave new world, but actually I'm making a lot of money in the old world, so how fast am I really going to bring you there? Then you have some competitors that bring a full suite. They have the network heritage, they have IT, but it's all basically take theirs and that's it. We want to be open in the program. We will be open in the program, meaning we bring the players together, we bring the best of breed, right? And that's where we want and know that we can differentiate ourselves. Together with a 30+ year history in telco, we actually have, from our non-stop days, our digital days, we have a lot of heritage in telco. We have actually a few thousand people that are working on a daily basis on bringing solutions to the telco industry. And together with that knowledge and with the ecosystem, we believe that we bring something together that is fairly unique.
Well, I must say, from my own observation, that over the past couple of years, HP did not have a particularly high profile in telecoms.
That's true.
But it's back with a bang this time.
You bet. And part of that is that, you know, we've done a lot of things in the past fairly well, especially on our non-stop side, you know, HLS, HLR, we got a lot of domain expertise there, but it's somewhat hidden in our enterprise services organization. If we're dragging this a little bit forward now, and we got some innovation out of that group, there's a lot of virtualized network functions already.
Sure.
And then at the same time, we've been working with the equipment providers, so we've now really, with our converged infrastructure technology, we're at the basis of a lot of the deployments that actually the equipment providers are doing with their solutions and what they bring to the carriers. It's based on HP platforms. So now we're going to bring this together, we talk more about it, and we, as you probably have learned, we actually just create the organization around it. So HP is putting money and people behind this very clearly in saying, we know that this is a tectonic shift for the industry.
Sure.
And with that, we
Yep.
know that our heritage from IT is exactly, and telco, is exactly what's needed now to go forward with NFV there. What we hear from the carriers is they want us to play there, they want us to bring the IT experience, the virtualization leadership that we have into that environment, and that's where we believe the partnership really makes a whole lot of sense with all these players. And another key differentiator is the lab piece, right? The OpenNFE labs, where we say we'll bring a sandbox there that's controlled, reference architecture based on the XC recommendations, where you can land your application and you get a good feeling for if that really is viable and behaves the way it's supposed to in a virtualized environment. So that's why we think is the differentiator to the competition.
I have to ask you this though, you're not
Yeah.
the only player in the game. There are
You bet.
others out there, there's Cisco for example in the US.
Absolutely.
There's Huawei in China spreading
bet.
all over the place, and there are other leading telco vendors as well. Why is HP a better option than either of those or any others?
Partnering in the industry, again, is what we think is at the heart of this. And we're known for partnering, we're known for our channel programs, we're known for working with other companies. And we don't have the legacy to defend here. So if we look at the ecosystem, if you look at the labs, if you look at what we're doing, we think it's just unsurpassed to what Cisco is doing, for instance. And again, they got to spread themselves pretty far here. And from an architecture perspective, we believe that we have more openness in there. We're based on OpenStack. We have a lot of contribution in the OpenStack arena. You will hear more from us in that environment as well. And that openness is really what we really think is the differentiator. Now you talked about Huawei. Huawei sure is an interesting, well, I wouldn't call it phenomenon, an interesting way how they obviously can operate because they got the network pieces and the IT pieces,
Sure.
right? Which is something that if you look at the other equipment providers, they're strong in the network, but they don't necessarily have the IT piece, which is where we come to play. That's why we have this long-standing relationship, because we bring the IT side in there. I think Huawei still has to show that they can really innovate in those areas and that they can really be upfront there. They're certainly a formidable competitor. I would leave it at that and where they play. There's probably a lot of political things you could also look at, but we concentrate on working with our partners, and if you keep in mind what I said before about what they bring from a portfolio, it just makes us an even more natural partner with our existing relationships to the equipment providers that we work with today. And it's not just the European ones. We have a very strong relationship with NEC over many, many years. On the IT side, they have a strong carrier business in Asia, so we're actually collaborating there.
Yep.
And we're also very much so engaged with Samsung as a partner there as well. So we're making sure that we have the right partnership around the globe to work this very well.
You mentioned OpenStack
Yes. just
now. What about the other side of the coin, Werner, which is the so-called white box options?
Yeah. Well, I think as much as you can talk open source and as much as OpenStack here is desirable for the carriers, on the other hand, this is all got to be also managed, right? So once you have an IT-like, data center-like environment, and you have thousands of nodes out there, those got to be managed in an IT environment as well. And if you look at what we've just done with HP OneView, that is a management suite that can actually help you with the firmware upgrades, do that all seamlessly, fast, spontaneously, which by the way is also one of our big advantages versus Cisco. We know that that is something that actually causes them quite a few of sleepless nights over there. OneView is really something that will help in this whole, if you look at the reference architecture and what we built there, the management and the orchestrations are very important pieces there as well. And one of our solutions there is also the NFV Director that we've announced. That's coming out of our CMS organization, Enterprise Services, that developed that will actually help with the whole orchestration of this new world of NFV. How to initiate new services with a push of a button. How do you manage your platform? How do you manage your infrastructure underneath all of that? And there's pieces that we bring together, the NFV Director, our Cloud OS, and OneView as the management console on the hardware, on the platform underneath. So this is certainly something that you will not see integrated in a white box environment, and that will make it very, very hard for a carrier to manage at the end of the day. And that's what you need. I mean, if you don't have the management pieces around it, you'll end up paying a lot more than what you may have saved on a white box environment.
A final question to you. What do you regard as being the fundamental building blocks towards the new, evolved, cloud, NFV-enabled world?
That's a very big question. I think it is partnerships on a broad base that lead to innovation. And that's where NFV, as I said, it's an evolution, right? And we don't know where we're going to be in 5 years with this, right? And that's, I think, is what the interesting piece is about it. If you look what happens in the open source community, if you see what happens when you bring great minds together, the innovation, we will see a lot more coming out of that. We have everything on the truck today that we need. If you look at the infrastructure, if you look at what we have from a converged infrastructure from Cloud OS, it's all top right-hand corner of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So we have on the truck what's needed to build and make NFV a reality today. But where is it going to go? What applications are going to land of it? What are the new things that are going to come over time? The innovation that will come out of that. I think that's what's really at the heart, and that's bringing us forward there. That answers your question.
It does. Interesting stuff. Werner Schaefer, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martin. Pleasure.